Hi, this is Makonas Bokani, the leader and the founder of the Young Men Empowerment Forum. Things you need to deal with in your life. That's what we're dealing with. The topic that speaks about the things you need to deal with in your life. This is part 2 today, and I want you to go back to part 1 and listen to what we spoke about yesterday. But today I want to speak about this as well, that please, there are things that you need to deal with in your life. And the first thing that I want you to deal with today is living in the past. Now, there are people that live in the past and they get stuck with their experiences. They get stuck with their old life. They get stuck with their old mistakes. And they are living what we call in the past. Now, living in the past goes along with people that don't want to move from where they are. The same friends that you grew up with, the same friends that you went with to school, primary school, high school, the same friends. You want to keep them and you don't want to move on from them. And that is living in the past. Because the very same people are still having the same mindset. The same people that you used to live with are actually at the point where you should overgrow them. Now, people that are planning to live in the past, they want to keep the old friends all the time. And I want to urge you as a young man that overgrow the old friends and start looking for new friends that are more progressive, that are more in the level where you are. Now, living in the past is actually an arrest of someone or captivity of someone by their own minds and thoughts of the past, their own memories that keep them in bondage. Now, they live in the past because of the thoughts of what they've gone through, the experiences of life that they've gone through, and they are grabbing hold of you to such an extent that you cannot move anymore. There are people that have done mistakes and terrible mistakes in their lives. And as a young man, I know. But I want you to know that mistakes are there to help us to grow. And each one of us are not saints. We've gone through mistakes, but mistakes are not there to destroy you. And you cannot remain in your mistakes. You cannot remain in the same place where you've done your mistake. Now, I want you to remember that if you are walking and fall, you're not going to remain lying on the floor there for days and for weeks and for months. You're going to rise up, isn't it? Now, if you will rise up when you're fallen, why are you not rising up from falling from your mistakes? Why are you not forgiving yourself? Now, I want to speak about this, that the spirit of lack of forgiving yourself is the one that is holding you back. It's the one that makes you to live in the past. It's the one that holds you at ransom, that you cannot move further. Now, some of the things that make us to live in the past are actually the evidence of the results of our past. For instance, as a young man, you might have had a child at a younger age, and the child is there and alive. But the fact that you're having a child should not hold you at ransom. Support your child, of course, but it must not hold you at ransom where you remain guilty for the rest of your life and you cannot move on anymore. Now, I want to emphasize that it is very important that you don't live in the past. Yes, you've done mistake. Yes, you've got an evidence of this mistake. Yes, you've got the fruit of this mistake that you can tangibly touch and see, but that should not hold you at gunpoint, and that should not hold you at ransom. Now, as a young man, don't live a life of the past. Make sure that every step of the way that you take, it matures you and grows you to another level. You can look back and say, that was the younger me. That was the younger me and inexperienced me, but I'm at a certain level where I'm living the life of today. Now, there are times when your own relatives, your own family, or even your own friends, they're the ones who are pulling you back to your past. They're reminding you of your past. And I must emphasize that our past, most of us, are not glittering. So therefore, we cannot hold on to that. But I must emphasize that your past doesn't necessarily mean a determinant of your future. And some of you are actually retarding yourself by thinking that your past has got a contribution to your future. And not always, please. Remember that. Not always. There are times when your past may be a contribution towards your success in future, or may hold you back because of it directly relates. But I want to tell you that majority of our past incidences or problems that we've gone through, or mistakes that we've done, are not directly proportional or related to our current life. Is not related to our future. So please, let your future not be held at ransom by your past. As a young man, rise up from your past and shed off your past, and shake yourself off and walk up to the future with your chin up and your chest held up out, and you make sure that you don't actually live by the past, but you become a better person and don't live by the past. I want to also to speak about this, that as a young man, please get rid of overthinking. Deal with overthinking in your life. Very, very important, because there are times when we overthink things, and when you overthink something, you actually bring yourself to become vulnerable to the spirit of doubt. You become vulnerable to fear as well. There are visions that you've seen, there are dreams that you have. But when you start to overthink your dreams and your visions, you are going to actually make yourself vulnerable to thoughts of fear. You're going to now ponder upon and start to see the what ifs of life. You're going to ponder a lot, to an extent that you're going to see the negatives of what you're planning to do. Now, I want to urge you as a young man that learn not to overthink, and make sure that whatever is a dream of your life, something that comes as a vision of your life, please step in, be bold, make a decision, and start implementing. Because some of the things mature even as we have started already. I want to remind you as a young man that everything in life starts small, and there's nothing that starts big. So therefore, because everything starts small, when you are having a dream or a vision, start it anyway. You may say, I don't have resources, but listen to this. Not everything needs resources. There are times when resources are they come in, because resources finance every stage of your project or your activity. So therefore, start the project now, and as you continue with the project, finances will come at every stage. Now, many people are afraid, therefore, to start, because they think that they need to have financial resources in the beginning that will cover the whole project. But that is a lie from the devil. Therefore, you need to start your project now, the activity that you want to do, the vision that you want to do now. You must start it now, and not to be afraid of what will happen. And you'll find that even though you don't have resources, but every step of the way will be financed at that particular time. So don't overthink things. Don't overthink your project. Don't overthink your dreams. Don't overthink your visions. Because the more you overthink, the more you will not take a step. You will not do anything. You'll not progress in your life, because you're overthinking and you're spending most of your time overthinking. Now, I want you to get rid this year to deal with what we call overthinking. Now, there are times when you'll realize that most of the things that you didn't do are the things that you pondered too much about. The things that you overthought and you actually overthink even to the detail. You're looking at the pros and cons, which is, of course, nothing wrong. But when you start to drill into the negatives of the project itself, you'll never even attempt doing it. Now, as a young man, I want you to be careful of overthinking this year. Don't overthink things. Don't overplan things. Don't overponder on things, because as you do that, you are going to actually discourage yourself. You are going to have thoughts of the past that will actually show you all the reasons why this project will not work. You will have all the thoughts that will tell you all the reasons why this is not going to be successful. Why? Because when you overthink, negativity drills into your mind. And I want you to realize that negative thoughts are the ones that are generally a default in our minds. So therefore, they are the ones that will flood your mind when you overthink. than the positive thoughts, because the positive thoughts are actually driving you to a new dimension, to a place where you have never been. And therefore, generally, a default of life is to be in a comfort zone. Now, you'll realize that a comfort zone will encourage you, but a new venture will discourage you. So overthinking will always actually default you to a common comfort zone and will not promote the progress of your life. Now, as a young man, I want to emphasize that because it's very key for you to understand that it is important that you deal with overthinking right now. I want to end up here today. Your host, Makona Spokane. Thank you very much for listening to us and be part of this great topic. May the good Lord bless you and allow me to say cheers for now.